Tonight I'm going to do LeetCode hard question 84, largest rectangle in histogram. This question is asking you to find the largest rectangle can be formed by these given bars. An intuitive way to solve it would be to try to find all the possible rectangle bars that get the maximum to return. So if you do it brute force, that will exceed the time limit. The trick you want to use here is a data structure called monotonic stack. Basically, it's this structure. I will draw you in detail later, but in general, it wants to maintain a monotonically increasing stack, or it's just a list, so that it can keep track of the first bar given any current bar, the first bar to the left that's lower than it. And this data structure can also track the very first lower, given any current bar, the very first lower bar from the right by checking in any new bar coming in. So let me draw the structure here. So if you're only tracking in, only leave the bars that's higher than previous bar inside this monotonic stack, you will have something like this. So when a new bar coming in, it's either higher, like here, then you just put it in, then move on, or it can be even it's the same, then you just put it in, move on. If it's lower, for example, it is here, then you will keep popping the rest of those bars in the stack until it becomes the highest one. And the way you find the rectangle during this process is when you're popping out the higher one than the current one is let me see if I can type. Okay, so the rectangle area equals to the height multiplied the width, of course. The height is the current bar that being popped out, and the tricky part is the width. How do you find the width from the very first lower bar to the from the left to the very first lower bar to the right? So the tricky part is, although those let me change a color. Although this part is empty, like this part is empty, it has an implied threshold. Remember how we maintain this stack? We only maintain monotonous increasing. So that means anything higher than this one will be popped out. So that means although you can't see this part, the reason they are empty has to be this part is higher than this one, and they are popped out. That's the only reason they can be empty, and so that implies all the value here has to be above here. And it's the same here, because only new value can come in, stay here, so all the value have to stay here, and they are popped out because they are higher than this one. So although they are empty, but they are implied that threshold. So when you calculate the first one lower to the current one from the left would be this one. The first one that's lower the current one from the right would be this one. And that's why you can use this distance as a width for this specific rectangle. Okay, now let's code it. So first you need a stack. and you want a value here that is negative. The reason you want it to be negative because we're using a while loop and you want to stop the while loop when it hits the beginning. So while the current height is smaller than the last height in the stack, you want to keep popping. So basically, if the new coming in bar, let me clean up. If the new bar coming in is higher, it's lower than the current one, you want to keep popping until they become the highest one. That's what we're trying to do here. And the width, as I explained before, the width would be the current new coming in one to the very last stack, because we already figured out all the bars that invisible, but in between they are higher than this bar. So you can trust this rectangle can extend to this level. Now you can compare. We didn't initialize this real value. You update this value, and you always add in the new one, because now since you finished the while loop, you are confident that the new one is higher than the last one that's left in the stack. Now you can append to it. Oh, sorry. So if I return now, there will have an error, but I want to return it so you can see the error. No, that's not the error I was talking about. So this error is it will out of the index. Because of that, you want to append the last value here, so that all value can be compared to this last value and popped out. And you want it to be 0 because 0 will be smaller than any of given bars here. So you can guarantee this is value and keep popping out all the rest of the values. So that's the solution of this question.